This is an SM Media production.
Hi folks, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Pro Wrestling Show right here on SM Media. I'm Scott McPike. It's a pleasure to be your host as always. It's been the first show in a couple of months. There's been a lot happening with a lot of events to talk about, and for this week's episode, it's a pleasure to welcome one of the brightest stars in the Scottish scene. It's a pleasure to welcome on Ronan King. Ronan, welcome to the show, mate. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for having me, mate. It's been great.
No worries. It's been a while getting this in the pipeline, but I'm glad to have you on.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. Yeah, life gets in the way, but here we are.
Yep, I don't know about you, but I'm obviously it's very, very warm right now where we are. I'm not a big fan because, as you can see, it has an impact on my nasal tendencies, and you can see that there. So apologies in advance if I look like rubbish.
Mate, it's boiling. It's almost too hot. It's great, but I was in the gym earlier. It's like, oh, mate, so warm.
You've got the advantage of your conditioning places like that, but it's ridiculous. It's too warm for our type of weather. How you been? How's life in the kind of scene at the moment?
It's been great. It's been great recently. Obviously, like coming to the summer months, just wrestling as much as I can, and it's been amazing. It's been an honour.
Yeah, it certainly has, and we've got a lot to talk about. Obviously, there's been since our last show, we've had the draft, we've had Double or Nothing, we've had Night of Champions, we've had Backlash. It's been a very busy time. It's probably been one of the best kind of post-WrestleMania times in a long time because there's a lot been happening.
Oh, without a doubt. It's like a lot of time after Mania, things have a tendency to just kind of slip and nothing feels important anymore. But fair play to everyone. They've been keeping up, giving us quality stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And like kind of overall kind of pay-per-views, like Backlash, I thought a lot of it was really good. I thought the main event with Bad Bunny, Damien Priest, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed Double or Nothing, really enjoyed Night of Champions. What's been kind of catching your eye in the scene? Like, we'll talk about some kind of big newsworthy headlines over the past few weeks, but when it comes to kind of events, there's been a lot happening. There's been some good matches to take note of.
Yeah, obviously you've got the Bloodline stuff. That's been fantastic recently. It's been great. It felt like it dipped a bit. Now it's really picked back up where it's one of those each week you don't know what's going to happen anymore.
Yeah, certainly, yeah.
MJF is champion. Is just, yeah, he can do whatever he wants. He's fantastic right now.
Yeah, really good, really good. Like, we've obviously had some new belts, but also obviously Seth Rollins, new world champion. Roman's got a new title. He's now known as the undisputed WWE Universal Champion, despite the fact there's an undisputed belt, despite the fact there's another World Championship, another brand. So what that out, same in the women's division, they've given Asuka the undisputed championship, but they have a women's World Championship in the other brand. So first of all, I do like the idea of taking away the kind of the brand part of it, because the Raw and SmackDown thing had kind of run its course. Like, you can still do the brand split, but having separate world titles, it doesn't make it too difficult to change brands going forward, and it gives a bit of freshness. I'm all for that.
I'm 100% agreeable. Like the whole title swap thing, like when they switch champions and brands, it just doesn't need to happen. And the thing is, when the championships are brand related, they just don't look as nice because they're so focused on the color schemes. Whereas these titles, well, especially the World Heavyweight one, looks fantastic.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I like it. It kind of reminds you that obviously the big gold belt, but there's a bit of a modern take on it. It's very similar to the Intercontinental, but it's nicer. It's a nicer feel, and I'm all for a new World Championship because I think the fact that we obviously know the kind of Roman 1,000 days thing, we're going to get to a space where whoever dethrones Roman, we're never going to hear the word Universal again, which I'm fine with, because this is obviously why it's been brought out. Do I like the gold? I would have preferred a new design, like a proper something different. We've seen how many times we've seen that belt been introduced. Something a bit different. Give us a new look. It feels like a new time. Obviously, we're going to have the merger. We're going to have a lot. It's feeling a lot different in terms of creative. Let's just try something different. So again, though, I can live with it. I think we're set for a Roman run until at least WrestleMania, so it's going to be like that way until they just decide to cash in and changing the championship with Roman, and it looks like it's going to be the same for a while.
The thing is, I get why they've designed the belt like that, because obviously when they pass the belts around places, you got that big WWE logo.
Yeah.
But the World Heavyweight Championship has that and looks a million times better.
Yeah.
Like, just have that massive WWE, but just have something else as well with it. I reckon would be the way forward to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we've got as well Scottish representation, Alba and Isla Dawn, obviously really carrying the Scottish name in the scene. They're going to face Ronda and Shayna for the unified tag team championships again. I had mixed feelings at the time when they were pairing Isla and Alba, because they obviously had a bit of a storyline against one another, but it's worked so well. And I think they will. Ronda and Shayna will obviously carry it forward, but Isla and Alba have such a good future in WWE.
Exactly. They're being treated well. Like, that's all you can ask, especially Scottish people. Like, just to have our guys, and they deserve it. And the match against Ronda and Shayna, even though it's likely that Ronda and Shayna are going to win, is such a massive opportunity for both of them. It's good.
It absolutely is. We mentioned about the Bloodline drama. I have really enjoyed it. I loved the ending tonight of Champions. Obviously, with Roman being super kicked by Jimmy. You've got the thing with Jay. Solo's obviously involved. You've got Paul Heyman there like a puppet master just pulling the strings. It's being designed so well. And I think a lot of the credit has to go to everybody involved. Like Paul Heyman obviously will have a massive say on what goes on. But the whole thing, it feels a bit like, I don't know if you've ever seen the film Goodfellas. It feels a bit like after the Lufthansa heist. I don't know if that will ring a bell to you, but to viewers who maybe think of that, after the Lufthansa heist, think of what happens towards the end of the film. It just feels as if it's going towards that kind of breaking of the ways, and I'm all for it. I'm loving it. I've loved the storyline from the beginning, obviously with the Sammy stuff. It's working so well, and I just hope it keeps going. Now, we'll get into in a minute where it goes from here, but right now was the right time of the Usos. You still had the thing with Kevin and Sammy. That's obviously going in a different direction. That is brilliant. It really is. I'm loving it.
Yeah, I think it's time to do something new with the Usos. Like, you can't have them keep chasing Kevin and Sammy, because that feels done. It feels in the dirt now. I feel like we know that Sammy and Kevin are going to just keep those belts for at least a little while. I think it's better that they go back to the other teams, like what they're doing with Imperium stuff's great. But yeah, I think it was time to pull the trigger on this whole Civil War. And I'm thinking maybe if we're doing War Games Survivor Series again, there could be a little something there for the Bloodline again, but this time on opposite sides of each other.
Yeah, and it kind of leads us towards, kind of, as we say, going from here, where do we go? Roman's not had a title defense since WrestleMania, so you do need a World Championship defense at some point. Money in the Bank, I think if they were doing a title defense in some way, they would have announced it by now. They still might on Friday, I don't know, but you could have a thing where it's like Solo against Jimmy, and then you've obviously got Roman potentially against Jimmy at SummerSlam, and there's so much you can do because you've got these four kind of separate things you can do right now. Tag match is obviously an option. Tag later on, we still don't know where Jay's allegiances lie. So, from a creative point of view, this is opening up so much. And money, let's do a wee bit of fantasy booking. I know I'm a big fan of that. I don't know if you are as well, but let's look at Money in the Bank. I do think Roman should have some involvement. Let's have Roman and Solo against Jimmy and Jay, and just have that kind of thing, and then Roman Jimmy at SummerSlam. That would be my way to do it, and then from there, as you say, maybe lean on to like a War Games or something like that. It's certainly something to think about.
I think I'd pull out Roman versus Jay for SummerSlam.
Yeah, possibly that as well. Yeah,
it's more the money match there.
Yeah,
bigger, because ever since that fantastic feud there at the start, people have been calling for Jay to eventually maybe take it off Roman.
Yeah,
it could be a big swerve. Maybe he does it. We'll never know.
What do you think of that though? Like, I can only see Cody being the one to do it because it's there. He's been kept well away from Roman. I'm happy with that. I think the Brock, although it might go on too long, well, I don't know. It's looking as if it's going towards SummerSlam. Love the way they're bringing in Dominic into that because it's, again, your top babyface against one of your most hated heels, it works. So Roman and Cody and Dom will be absolutely fine at Money in the Bank. Do you think that either of the Uso guys, and we'll get into Solo in a wee minute, do you think the two Uso guys could have any way potentially take it from Roman?
I think Jay does have a shot, and I think they do it as a, oh my god, like almost like I think they could do it almost like they did Sammy. Like at the end of the day, you probably know it's not going to be, and you know in your heart it's probably not going to be it, but they just make you believe. So when Jay gets those near falls, when Jay looks like he's going to do it, and the whole building's erupting, and Roman kicks out too, it's like you'll get the reaction you want.
Yeah,
that's the way they'll do it. I could see Jay. Like I don't see Jimmy as much because I don't feel like he's been involved from the start like Jay has. But you never know.
You never know. Yeah, I can see it. What about Solo? Because you've obviously you're bringing in Solo as the kind of the new right hand man. He's already turned on Jimmy. You could eventually have a scenario where Solo's the guy, and I've been really impressed with Solo since he's come in. I think he's been booked really strongly. Don't really have an issue if they were to kind of push him to the moon and say because there'll be a reaction when they turn on Roman, because it does feel as if they're all breaking away in some capacity. Solo looks like he's staying, but it looks more like it's whenever Solo switches, it's going to turn out well. You could have Roman and Solo going forward. That wouldn't be an issue either. Solo, is it maybe too early to kind of give him that type of responsibility? I don't know, but right now, his character work, I think, is as good as you'll get right now.
My fear would be it being too early. Yeah. So if I would have Cody take it, because I think at the end of the day, it's gonna, as much as it's the whole family story, there's nothing better than seeing the best good guy, the most popular good guy, being the most hated bad guy.
Yeah,
like, it's just that moment that everyone wants. But I would potentially then have maybe even Solo turn at Mania, and then you can do Solo and Roman down the line, maybe SummerSlam, and then SummerSlam Solo beats Roman, and Roman's still looking strong as anything. It just shoots him off, and like maybe Solo and Cody, whatever you want to do after that. But I feel like the world on the undisputed title is a bit too soon, maybe now. But again, he's great. He's super impressive, and he could easily do it.
You know, the last man to beat Roman Reigns by pinfall?
Was it Baron Corbin?
It was Baron Corbin. Yeah, I mean that shows you like they've obviously gave Baron Corbin that, because every time he's out he mentions it, and he's now in NXT, and I'm like, yeah, they're doing something with that. But also we could have a thing where this thing of let's beat Roman. Roman suffered a couple of defeats without being pinned, like obviously the tag team match and things like that. That there's going to be it's going to be leading to something massive. We thought it was going to be WrestleMania. I thought it should have been at WrestleMania because it was all written. It was during the match. I'm thinking, right, he's given the belt to Cody's given the belt to Luke Harper's son. It's the way that was all written. It seemed as if it was going towards Cody, and they kept it on Roman. And you have to say that I don't see Cody going down the route of going for the world. The story is the WWE Championship. He has to be the one to beat Roman. I
had the complete fear when they brought this new belt. They were just trying to give it to Cody.
Yeah, and it wouldn't have felt the same.
It's a pity belt. It's like, oh, he tried tonight. There you go. Whereas, like, I agree with you. I think Mania was the time, but I think if there's anybody that can keep the fans that much on their side for another year, it's Cody at this point. Like he sells the most merch without even wearing his merch to the ring. Like he's the boy right now. He's so good.
And you've got that thing as well where a lot of kind of white meat baby faces, they can go stale when you want to boo them. You aren't getting that. And that's what I like about this so much, is that's why Brock's a perfect opponent, Dominic's a perfect foil, even when he's having occasions with Rhea and things like that. It's working so well. Just keep him that way. Just have him work with the worst type of heels, because people are still doing the wall, people are still loving what he's doing, and you've got him doing the injured gimmick now. It's everything about Cody right now is saying to me, we're keeping him as fresh as possible. We're not shoving him down your throats too much. We're having him work with these heels because we want to make him the top baby face. Please keep doing that.
Booked him well. That's the thing, and the complete fear for me after Mania was, or if they're going to do it next year, then what? Like Cody's just going to be, he's going to have the Roman effect. People loved Roman when he was face star, and then shut down a third star where everyone hated him, and then it just doesn't feel as deserved. It feels like he missed his time. But now he's still this over. I would have put him at number 1 in the Rumble, maybe this year. Be all 29.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some of that, or the World Heavyweight Championship. Whoever wins that goes after that. But I think Cody's your boy, and he's at Mania, and I just hope it's not too late by then.
My 2 main events for WrestleMania already. Now you can say yours, and I know I've put you in the spot here, but Cody Roman night 1, Cody Roman night 2, because I think Cody has to win that night. Night 1, Seth and Gunther. Let's do that.
And that could be me. Yeah, that'd be really good. I've not
because Seth's character work now is phenomenal. Pardon the pun. I know he beat AJ, and I'm not just saying that for effect. His character work at the moment is tremendous.
So good. Did you see the promo from what must have been last night with Balor?
Yeah, and that again, 7 years. That story's been written 7 years in the making. Go with that, and you've obviously got Finn quoting Jordan Devlin. What's his name now? Jordan Devlin, JD McDonough. You have him kind of quoting. You've got the thing with Damian Priest. You've got Finn can go and do that. Seth can have so many good matches. He's obviously going to potentially call out Braun and things like that. Seth's the right guy for that.
Completely. Seth's the right guy to just let him cut promos and let him elevate other guys. Because I think the thing is with Roman, it's been great as him as champion, but so many guys have suffered because you have to keep Roman strong.
Yeah.
To start elevating, because he's phenomenal at what he does. You start elevating other talent and making more almost main event talent than it feels we have right now.
Yep, we'll move into talking about the Money in the Bank ladder matches. Obviously, we have the men's match is set. We have Ricochet, Shinsuke Nakamura, LA Knight, Santos Escobar, Butch, and Damian Priest. None of these guys have been world champions. None have won a Money in the Bank. We're going to get some freshness.
We are. I'm very excited. I think that's a really good mix of who could win.
Yeah.
I think they've played that well, where it's great to have the new guys who they could use to elevate rather than putting Money in the Bank on like Brock again. And like as much as Brock was great with it, Brock's had his shot. Like, you know what I mean? Put it on the young guys, or not even young, but just on the guys that haven't had that shot.
Yeah, absolutely. My way of doing this, where there's two outstanding candidates for me to win it. Obviously, the first right now is Damian Priest. They seem to have a lot of faith in him regarding what he's doing. I think obviously the way he worked with Bad Bunny was brilliant. They seem to have a lot of plans for him going forward, potentially as a face. Happy for them to go with that. My one guy would be LA Knight.
Yeah,
that's the one I want. That's the one I want.
I feel just his charisma is so good right now.
Yeah,
he's got the package, and when he's out there, you can't help but just watch him. He's so good, and I think him versus Seth, which is where I'd go. I could see him beating Seth, and he just that feud even, or just him having like being in the background constantly with that case. It's just money. It could be so good.
The very interesting thing I find here though is that they were mentioning on Raw last night that whoever wins the briefcase can challenge for the Intercontinental and US titles. Now, we saw that last year, Ross and Theory, and it was a bit of a riot, but to me, the Money in the Bank, the whole thing with that, the whole reason that felt great at the time and has always had it's never ever went stale is because you can make a new star and you can give a guy a world championship opportunity easily. Why would you win a Money, like from a kind of logical standpoint, why would LA Knight or Damian Priest or Butch, whoever they want to go with for that, why would they want to cash it in and just win the United States? Now, no, that's no disrespect to those belts. That's a world championship opportunity. That's not for, do you know what I mean? That's why are they mentioning that? I know they did it last year. To me, why would you not go for a world championship if you've got that briefcase? It just seems weird.
Like that's it. If we're looking at it from kayfabe, which is why we should watch wrestling, like, we get
absolutely, yeah.
should look at everything seems believable. Why would you not? Like I feel like last year it felt like a bit of a cop out because everyone knew, oh, there's no way Theory's beating Roman.
Yeah.
But this new world heavyweight champion, he seemed like Seth feels a lot more vulnerable than Roman does. You kind of know where Roman's going.
Yeah.
You know they could beat Seth because it feels like a shocking moment. That's why I feel like doing the IC or the US, it does feel a bit of a cop out. And I hope
that's why, like, I kind of thought last year, given Theory it to begin with, you can have. I mean, we've seen Money in the Bank guys win it and then obviously lose their opportunity. Like John Cena comes to mind. Remember Baron Corbin, Theory last year. There's been a few guys who have lost their opportunity. That's fine. That's fine. I don't have an issue with them having the opportunity then losing a match. Sandow famously obviously killed him, but they were for world championships. Keep it that way. You can have a guy cash in and be beaten by the babyface. I don't have an issue with that, but don't have it that he goes for the United States Championship, then 3 weeks wins it anyway. So that's just stupid. The women's ladder match, it seems to be obviously there's two scenarios here that I think is very interesting. You've got Selena Vega, Bayley, Io Sky, Becky Lynch, Zoe Stark, and another to be determined. We don't know who that's going to be. I know who I would like it to be, as we'll get into in a minute. The two obviously big stories are potentially Io Sky and Bayley, the damage control situation, and you've obviously got the elephant in the room of Becky Lynch now going against Zoe Stark, who's obviously aligned with Chris Stratus. Becky Lynch seems to be the outstanding candidate here, but Becky or Io to me are the two right now. As it stands, there's one strong theory I've got. Becky and Io would be the two that I think are the strong candidates right now.
I would put on Io. I'm with you there. I think, especially her match with Bianca in Backlash was phenomenal, and everyone was so behind her. I think it could be Io's time, and maybe Io wins it, and you can go away. You can do a thing with Bayley for a little bit, where Bayley gets jealous, and that can all break down a little bit. But I think build Io as almost a babyface now, and then when she takes that belt, we'll have just a good feel-good moment for her. She deserves it.
No, absolutely. Yeah, don't have a problem with that. Becky, I think Becky's working now with Trish. I think Trish is a natural heel. Bringing Zoe Stark in, I don't have an issue with them going that direction either. Becky right now, I think is big time to watch. Again, another point. I apologise. She's as good to watch at the moment as she's been in a long, long time.
Yeah, definitely. Becky's brilliant. I would love Becky to win it, but I feel it's time to build someone else because Becky could just challenge for the title and win it. But I think with Io gives that interesting more opportunity.
We have a very interesting run on SmackDown at the moment. Obviously, we had Asuka been announced as a new women's champion, but we also had a return that was quite surprising. We had Charlotte Flair coming back. Interesting, Charlotte's going to challenge Asuka the week before Money in the Bank. Hear me out here. Bianca Belair, did you see SmackDown on Friday?
Not all of it.
Well, Bianca Belair had an interesting segment with Adam Pearce where it looked as if she was potentially going down a heel route. Now, Bianca Belair potentially interfering in that Asuka Charlotte match. You could potentially do something with Asuka and Charlotte Money in the Bank, but there's an open space in the Money in the Bank. Now, this could easily get filled on Friday night, and I look stupid here. Bianca turning heel, go with that because I think that's a perfect opportunity. She's ran stale as a babyface a wee bit. Think she could be a really good heel. Bianca could be do the Brock Lesnar thing. Remember Brock winning Money in the Bank a few years ago, just coming from completely nowhere. Have Bianca turn heel that night, and then the Saturday after have her win Money in the Bank that way. That would be my way. That would be my way because I think Bianca as a heel. Bianca, Charlotte, WrestleMania, happy to go down that road. I can see Becky and Ronda doing something at WrestleMania as well, but so I think Raw's kind of taken on its own, and you've obviously got Rhea as well. Where does Rhea come in? But Bianca as a heel has to be the way forward, and this is how I would start it.
Yeah, I think Bianca has gone a bit babyface, just a bit stale. And I think she's been heel before, and she's been fantastic.
Yeah, she was in NXT. Yeah,
back there, and it just adds a bit of new spice to it, a bit of new flavour, which would be great.
Yeah, I'm all for that. All for that. We'll move into AEW. So I've been very interested the past few weeks in AEW. We've had obviously Double or Nothing that was fight, that was really good. A few shocks. You had Jade Cargill's run come to an end. The MJF won the Four Pillars match and seems to be going down the route with Adam Cole. Double or Nothing I thought was really good, and I love the promo where MJF and Adam Cole. Again, just two really good guys. Two kind of really good guys in regards to promos. They're going to face each other on Wednesday night in Dynamite. That'll be good.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It'll just be a banger. There's not much to say about it. It's been great.
Yeah.
I think the match was so good as well. And it's just set MJF up as this monster heel. Because what he was doing in the match was fantastic. Three other guys do all the flippy cool things that people pop for. He would just come in and just hit a clothesline. Just be a dick and just pose. That's just fantastic work for him. And I think that's where he's going to go now, is almost on a bit more of a Triple H run, as we saw with everything. I mean, this match will just be great. Just there's not much to say. It'll just be great.
No, totally agree with that. CM Punk's coming back at Collision. Interesting that they announced the match with FTR and Samoa Joe, Jay White, just Robinson as well. That strikes me as a very CM Punk. I want that match to be my comeback match. So that'll be good. That'll be another killer match.
I mean, Jay White is just so good. I feel like he's underappreciated right now.
Yeah.
Especially like FTR, obviously, Juice Robinson, like, yeah, everyone in that match is fantastic. So it will. I'm just worried that CM Punk isn't the draw they think he is anymore, and that's why they've not sold much.
I think people will still watch it though, because Punk, the bit that all the kind of out storylines about Punk regarding what's going on behind the scenes, so people will check that out because he still will have that appeal. We'll move into talking about Forbidden Door, which is coming up next Saturday, I believe. Next Sunday, sorry. Obviously, the AEW New Japan crossover. Two box office matches to already been announced. The American Dragon and the Rainmaker. Bryan Danielson and Kazuchika Okada. Sign me up.
Just take my money.
Yeah.
Like, it's not take every bit of money I have for that match. That's fantastic. I was very surprised when they announced it because I thought they would have built it. But Bryan as a heel, I think is, and Okada's he's Okada. Like what else? That match will be fantastic.
And we also have the rematch from Wrestle Kingdom, Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay for the IWGP US Heavyweight Championship. Again, I thought the match was really good. I think it could be better. I think this will make it better. Toronto, really wrestling crowd. I am buzzing for this.
Will Ospreay is my favorite wrestler.
Yeah,
like, he's so good at just what he does. I think this match is just, again, like I've said it a lot, but it's just going to be a banger. But I think this one is the better one to watch because you know that history. You know they actually don't like each other.
Yeah. I'm all for this. I'm looking forward to Forbidden Door. Now, obviously, you're kind of starting out in the business as well. Growing up a fan, clearly, you're still kind of a relatively young age. Like, growing up a fan, who were some of your kind of heroes getting started? How did the world of wrestling find you?
So I was quite old. Well, not old, but I didn't watch it as a kid. I watched it when I was like 12.
Right.
Which I was introduced more through the games.
Right.
Like the games, and I just started to slowly get more into it. And then one day I just remember going on my mum's iPad, searching up WWE, and the first feud I watched was Roman Reigns and the Authority.
Right.
My intro, which is I think a bit of an underrated feud going back, but I guess I hadn't had to deal with it for months. I kind of hopped in around Rumble time.
Right.
That was my first feud.
That was when he defended the world title in the Royal Rumble. Was that right?
Oh yeah. That was which I still think was a cool concept actually, and I wouldn't mind if they had to bring it back.
Yeah, I think we should do that for this year's Royal Rumble and see if he gets eliminated early on there and loses the title that way. But can I get started? Like a lot of people, like when you speak to them, it's being a fan is obviously like, but the opportunities in Scotland are so limited compared to other countries kind of across the Atlantic and things like that. How hard is it to get started, and where did you find your opportunity to get started?
I never had around quite a bit, but luckily for me, I'm in one of the cities, so I just Aberdeen. So I just searched in Aberdeen pro wrestling, and I found there's a company called WrestleZone.
Yeah,
I never anything. I just shot them over a message, being like, "Hey, like, I want to train. How would I go about that?" And I started training when I was 15. Yeah, just turned 15, just down at the unit in here, and helped the company. Well, not help, but I went to the shows, I staffed, kept training, worked hard. COVID obviously hit. That was a bummer. Even if training, I had to take, I think, 6 months out due to like a really nasty concussion. So I kind of got slowed down, and I got back, and it was the week I got back that we shut back down because of COVID.
Yeah.
It was a slow first year, and then I just over lockdown I just watched so much wrestling, and all the things I'd heard in training clicked, and I came back after lockdown a much better wrestler than I went, just because I looked at the psychology more than the physical. I came back from COVID, and it was pretty straight from there. I just kept training, had training matches, boom, 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 and then I got told I was debuting the day after my 18th birthday. So,
and it was, who were kind of some of your kind of mentors and like your first match and things like that? Like when do you with your debut, and who kind of helped you along the way to get involved?
So all the trainers at WrestleZone. So Scotty Swift, Blue Thunder, William Sterling, Lord Mr. Malice, Brian Tucker, all them, Zach Dynamite especially, fantastic coaches.
Yeah.
And they just take the time and make sure you understand everything and everything there is to know about wrestling. So I was fully prepared. Like Zach Dynamite, Ryan Riley, Bruiser Brad from Foundation, those boys gave me my first training matches, and it was such a good environment to learn from, and everyone was supportive but honest. So if you tell each other what was good, but then you'd also really dig into how can we get better, and that's why they're all so fantastic. Like they all just drill and they look into everything so deeply and well that understand everything. Made me understand most things about wrestling.
Yeah,
really
and
well.
kind of building that character as well, and a fan base. Obviously, like coming in after COVID, I think a lot of people were kind of desperate to get some sort of interaction. It didn't matter what it was, but just to get back in front of a crowd and for the crowd to kind of feel them. Like, what's it like when you're starting at that point, and you're how does that kind of make it easier to build that kind of relationship?
I think it did come in useful for me was the fact that I debuted on the second show back after COVID. So the fans were still kind of like hot, like, oh yeah, we get wrestling again. Great.
Yeah.
I debuted against a guy called Mr. P, and he was perfect for my first match because obviously as a wrestler, I look a lot into my character and how do I get that across? And he's full of charisma, full of character. So that match was really, really just a nice, simple match, but it got everything it needed to get out and it put me in the statement.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. You mentioned there about WrestleZone as well, obviously like been a big impact, but have you had kind of opportunities to kind of get involved with new promotions? Who's some of the kind of other promotions you're kind of keen to work with going forward?
WrestleZone's obviously my hometown, so I'm there all the time. I debuted at Discovery Wrestling 2 weeks back against a guy called Judas Gray, extremely talented, a really good pal of mine, so it was really good fun.
Yeah.
Loved that. Would love to work there again. That was amazing fun. I worked at Community Pro Wrestling down in Glasgow, so I've got another match there this Sunday against the Wanderer. So very excited for that. Where else? FCW, Fair State Wrestling as well. Me and Connor Malloy had a match against Ian Ambrose, which I love. I think it was a really fun match. So yeah, it's been great. It's been great. I feel like I've worked a lot around Scotland, but I just want to work more and more. I want to work everywhere in Scotland.
And is it the plan to kind of like do this like full time? Like, is that always when you get into it? Is that where you want to go going forward?
I feel like it is. I feel like a lot of people won't be as on as I will. Like I'll fully admit my plan with wrestling is to just completely take it as far as I possibly can. But I do want to be the biggest wrestler in the world.
Yeah.
What I work towards every time in the ring, every time I train. Like it's big goals, but I feel like you might as well just go for it. You've got one life, right? You don't want to regret it.
You
I
certainly
don't
don't.
rocking chair when I'm 80, being like, oh, what if I really went all in on wrestling? I'd rather no. What would happen?
Yeah, 100%. And we can only wish you all the best with that. Like going forward, like we'll close the show. The quick fire question round. I'm going to put you in the spot. Are you ready?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Right. Your favourite match you've had so far?
Oh, I should have thought about this one. I would say, I can't even think. Me versus Judas Gray versus Big Chairs at Wrestle Carnival in England. That's another promotion I forgot to mention. Wrestle Carnival was fantastic. Down in the north of England, that was in Coventry. Even that was amazing. That was
Dream opponent?
I'd love to work with Osprey. Just being a little fanboy. Love to work him.
Face or heel?
Heel all the way, all the way.
Favorite TV match you've ever seen?
Oh, I'm trying to think. Kenny Omega versus Ray Phoenix back in AW Dynamite in lockdown. That was
Brilliant.
that's top.
If Vince McMahon or Tony Khan were offering you a contract, which one would you sign?
Oh. Right now, I'd have to say Vince because I feel like AEW has so much great talent. I'd want to build the name before going there.
Right.
But have that WWE backing me before. Well, not saying that I'd want to leave, but I feel like AEW right now is just they've got so much great talent. I want to have something that makes me stand out first.
Yeah. 3 people you would start a faction with in the UK scene: 2 males, 1 female.
2 males, 1 female. Oh, okay. Give me Judas Gray, Zach Dynamite, and Emerson Jane.
Brilliant. Favorite film?
Favorite film, The Batman.
Batman. Final question: your dream arena?
Hampden Stadium in Glasgow.
Okay.
Wrestling for it, but I was looking at it the other week when I was out. I was just like, I'd love to wrestle there. I think it'd be so much fun.
Yeah, love to see an event there. Ronan, it's been an absolute pleasure. If you want, mate, best of luck for what's going forward, and thank you very much for coming on.
Pleasure.
Brilliant.